This movie was cool. Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe is directed by John Rice and Albert Calaros, and is written by Mike Judge, and it has the voices of Mike Judge, and in this story it deals with the titular characters that are essentially transported into the year 2022 after some events happen to where they end up going to space, and essentially some shenanigans happen to where they're essentially having to, well, in like a lot of the episodes of the show, and also, you know, as far as their characters, they're trying to score, and they get into some crazy shit that goes down with the government after them, like Beavis and Butthead Do America, and also there's having to deal with like them trying to essentially come across like different things, how things are in 2022 as it is. Now here's a little backstory. Now this movie was something I was really looking forward to for a while because growing up I've always been a big fan of Beavis and Butthead, and Mike Judge back in the 90s, he really made a name for himself with creating really one of the most like popular and most iconic animated shows of all time. And to this day I still rewatch episodes of Beavis and Butthead, and it's one of those shows that was very, you know, not only a great comedy of its own, but just also them poking fun at a lot of the stuff that was happening around that era. And a lot of the stuff that we would see in culture, especially in music, a lot of the other stuff that you would see nowadays around that period. And one of the things I always held together was that the fact that anytime that the characters of Beavis and Butthead would essentially get into some shenanigans, there would be a lot of times where they would often get ironically hailed as doing in favor of the people that are actually in favor of them instead of some other things that happen. And it basically pulls it to where when they get in trouble or something, it gets with other people in trouble, and it ends up becoming just full of like a lot of comedy gold in a lot of that show, and a lot of the crazy stuff they come across with all the iconic supporting characters throughout, you know, like Mr. Anderson and Buzzcut and all them. And just the duo themselves were just always funny because the fact that they're so, you know, they're complete dumbasses, but they also have a way of basically, you know, really putting themselves in situations that, you know, are very highly unrealistic to happen. But it's just so funny to watch because the nature of them being in that is so, like, you know, you can't take your eyes off it. And just the other stuff that they poke fun of, especially with the music videos they were going across, that was always one of my favorite segments in the show. And into this day, when I rewatch them, I just love the riff that they do, and they actually kind of speak. It's funny in those segments they actually speak in kind of more vibes that are more like critiquing in their own right, and it's really the only few times where they kind of spout off like not really smart dialogue or anything, but just like they have like very, you know, great words about how they react to it and stuff. But as the first movie, I still enjoy really to this day, especially, you know, with the first one, Do America, having to them go across this journey with getting, you know, into all kinds of shit from the government, all because they mistakenly get mistaken as terrorists and stuff. And there there was just so much in that movie that I was just surprised they got away with. And then with this one, ever since the series ended and ever since the movie came out, I never thought that they would actually ever do another Beavis and Butthead. And then I did actually miss out on the 2011 revival that came out that MTV brought back. But I heard that one I heard was good, but I know that some were kind of thrown off with the fact that they were more making fun of reality television shows around that time when MTV was known for. And so I could see that it didn't hold up quite as well as some of the other seasons, but I still got to check it out someday. But with the movie, what got me really interested was the fact that they were not only, you know, bringing it back, you know, feature-length film, but also I heard that supposedly this was like their this was Mike Judge's foray of transitioning into a new series that's going to possibly be picked up in the future. And so I would be really down for that. And so after upon really finally seeing the film, I got to say that this movie was hilarious. I really got a kick out of this. I thought to get my pros out of the way, the voice casts were fantastic. Mike Judge, he really still has it as Beavis and Butthead, and a lot of some of the other characters he still comes across, including one part when he actually voices Mr. McVicker from the animated series. And so getting to be able to see like little small cameos of the supporting characters from the original show was a nice touch, especially seeing Buzzcut and Daria and all them. Could have been used a whole lot more, sure, but I mean, I'm glad that he at least kept him in there. But the movie's humor is just so funny to me because it's able to still keep the characters fresh. Because yeah, the movie, let's just say, I'm not going to go into detail, but their event that has them go into space was not only hilarious of where it's taking place at, but also I just like the fact that throughout the movie that other characters are kind of hailing the duel as very smart and intellectual, when ironically they're the ones causing all the damage that they later see throughout the film. And that's one of the funniest things I really enjoy about the movie is all the mishaps that the characters get into, especially, you know, when they're throwing smart-ass remarks about, like, you know, science and everything, like, you know, the black hole and stuff like that, and, you know, and then and then when they get into 2022, that's when it really kicks into gear where the comedy, you know, has me laughing quite a bit, especially when they get into some of the stuff that they're making fun of nowadays that's supposed to be commentary on not only a lot of the stuff that we see with social media, but also like a lot of the political side that Mike Judge likes to tackle in a lot of his films, especially if you've ever seen Idiocracy, which I haven't seen, but I've seen pieces of. He like the stuff, kind of humor that he kind of did from that one is definitely present here. And from what I've seen of Idiocracy, I could definitely tell that, you know, he does like to poke fun at a lot of things that are really relevant today. But I also got to really appreciate the animation. Well, while the animation in this is not quite as, you know, theatrical looking as far as like Do America was, because I think what they were trying to do was trying to go back to the original animated show's look and more on that Aiken, which really worked for it because the characters still looked great the way they were drawn and everything. And I just really, it did have also a lot of creativity of blending in some stuff to where they were able to go to like these different animated features that Mike Judge puts on them, especially one part where they're doing a training thing in space and they're having to have their faces go all like Tex Avery style and shit. I thought that was hilarious. And one of the other things I got to really appreciate too with the movie is it really does move at a very fast pace, and just the friendship aspect I think is so strong in this because there actually is some great stuff that they actually do develop the characters with in this. To a point, I mean, you gotta think Beavis and Butthead, they're not the brightest, but there is still very sweet moments in this that I thought really kind of matured our characters for over the years. And there is something that happens in the third act that I thought was touching, but also funny at the same time. That was quite a great change of pace for it, from what we've seen from them in the other from the other entries. And so there's more I can go on with it, but I got a really good kick out of this movie a lot. And the only kind of things I would say that I did have some minor cons with is, while the comedy is very funny at times, there are some jokes that don't always land, and there are some things they really could have added more onto. Like, okay, we could have really seen more of the whole universe thing that they were kind of going for in the movie, because they could have really established more of the stuff that they bring in with the smart Beavis and smart Butthead aliens that come into play. I really wish we could have maybe add more onto that and kind of seen more of what was going on with that, because the movie is only about an hour and a half, and it moves at a very fast pace, but there's still more they could have added on to it. And I would have loved to see them spend more time in the current, just, you know, doing the whole fish out of water thing where they're interacting with other stuff and getting into other culture stuff. I really could have seen a lot more of that, but I'm still glad they kept it in there. And of course, there's some stuff that this is more of a minor nitpick, but it didn't quite have as much of a good soundtrack compared to the first movie. But there are a couple of fun songs I like listening to, especially this one that they play, another Ozzy song. In this that was pretty good. And then, you know, and there's some other like things that they could have maybe put more emphasis on. Like, okay, we could have got more time with seeing the on-screen characters from the supporting characters from like the original series. Like, I really could have used more like Buzzcut and Mick Vicker and all them. But given for what it is, I still really enjoy this film a lot. And with that, I'm going to give the film a very extremely high compelling grade on the Film Freaks meter. And for those of you who have also seen Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in my next review. I'll see you later.